Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials on our outdated opinions. I'm your host, Doug, and with me as always is...
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I'm Corey.
The sword has no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage. And I'm Mike.
I'm so thrown off by that line because I don't know what it's from. And I'm shocked.
It's Twilight Princess.
Okay. Who said it?
Zelda.
Well, fuck me. Okay. Hey, listen. Okay, that was probably obnoxious enough. I won't torture you guys anymore. Alright, so in today's episode, you probably noticed Adrian wasn't here. I guess I should mention that. I thought about just not even saying it since he said he hated Zelda and didn't want to be part of this episode.
He's dead to me.
But anyway, if you didn't catch on, today we're talking about Legend of Zelda. No specific game, just like how we feel about the whole series. We did touch on this back in previous game episodes, just slightly, but we've been dying to dig into these ones a little more. Some of our favorite games, except Adrian, because he hates them. Don't forget to tell him how much you hate him at cultureshock17@gmail.com.
He doesn't hate these games nearly as much as Mike hates Breath of the Wild.
I don't hate Breath of the Wild. I don't know why. We'll get to that.
And I'm sorry, listeners. I know you can't hear a glare through a microphone, but I will defend Breath of the Wild is to my dying breath against Mike. I will.
Wow. Nice pun.
Anyway. All right, Mike, since you hate Breath of the Wild so much, why don't you tell us why?
All right, for first and foremost, I do not hate Breath of the Wild.
That's not what you said before this started. Stop trying to appease the listeners.
I love that game. It just, to me, doesn't feel like a Zelda game.
It's because it's a new era of Zelda game. They changed everything on its head.
Well, okay, let me ask this, because you've said similar things before. What is a Zelda game to you? What is it? What makes a Zelda game a Zelda game?
Closest thing that they've got going for them for like the Zelda game in Breath of the Wild is all of the shrines. Because a Zelda game to me is you have to have constant puzzles you got to figure out. You got the dungeons, which in this game they only technically have 4, but they're not even actual dungeons. They're whatever you want to call them. The
Divine Beasts.
The Divine Beasts. Yeah, the Divine Beasts are considered the dungeons, but there's only 4 of them.
Well, plus Ganon's Castle.
By
far biggest dungeon in the game.
But the Divine Beasts, they don't take very long to conquer. The best thing that this game has going for it, which I love, is how open world and huge the map is.
How do you think you could be satisfied with that big open world game? How could you have...
I know what Doug's trying to get at. How could you have that open of a game and still stick to this Zelda formula?
Yeah.
Honestly, if they could get rid of the whole weapon shield.
Weapon degradation.
That's my biggest problem with that game.
Why do I have to sit there and keep finding weapons upon weapons? And why is the Master Sword, you're not allowed to use it for certain things? Like, you can use it, but if you use it for the things it's not meant to be used for, then you can't use it for a period of time. Like, that's kind of bullshit.
I've never really been a huge fan of video games where you have to do crafting over and over again and the swords break or you can lose them. I really don't like that system at all in any game.
I do like the aspect where you're like the cooking food and like making the different meals and stuff. I do kind of like that.
And more of the survival part of it, yeah.
But the weapons breaking and stuff is immensely annoying.
I think that's just more or less because, like you said, the whole survival aspect, because there is like survival aspects to Breath of the Wild, and I think that's one of the things that makes it interesting, and why I can kind of like look past the weapon system is because you're supposed to be constantly thinking ahead because you have limited space, so you don't just carry one at a time.
Oh yeah.
If you carry as much as you can, you think about what ones are good at doing what and try to just be as prepared for you can for every situation, and then just there's more strategy involved, and I like that. And I know that's not a Zelda thing, but I mean, Zelda wasn't always the same game. They experimented heavily in the past before they hit the Link to the Past formula. And I don't know. I'm a fan of innovation in games. I don't want the same game year after year after year. I want to see something new and exciting. Even if it's bad, I like to see chances being taken and boundaries being pushed.
I will say you kind of hit it like right on the head, because my very first time playing Breath of the Wild, I approached it like the Zelda games in the past. I didn't put much thought into the weapons I was carrying and yada, 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 all that stuff. And I got to a certain point in the game where I pretty much fucked myself. And
I didn't know you could do that in that game.
I put the game down for months. And by the time I came back to it, I was like, I'm just going to start over. And I approached it with a much more logical thinking, like with the weapons, like, okay, this is going to break at a certain point. I'm going to need this for this moment in the game. I'm going to need this. And like, once you actually use the strategy that you're talking about, like thinking about it that way, absolutely the game becomes a lot easier to maintain and move forward with. I do love the explorative aspect of the game. Like, you got to uncover all these different parts of the map. Like I said, I don't hate the game. It is a brilliantly done game. It was hard. I know you get so mad. I'm like, it's not a Zelda game, but like, it just doesn't feel like a Zelda game, other than the fact that the main character's name is Link. They got the characters, they got the lore down pretty good. It just seems like they kind of took the story of Zelda and slapped it onto something that wasn't Zelda.
I mean, they did the same thing with Super Mario RPG, and that was fun.
Oh, I fucking love that game. You're right.
Hell, think about Super Mario 64.
Even 64, yeah.
They took Mario and slapped it onto something that wasn't Mario, but now there's entire groups of people that don't know anything else.
It literally is, for me, just the weapon system in Breath of the Wild. I love the game other than that. I'm an old school guy with the weapons. Like, I like going through this whole area with this one weapon, getting to a town, realizing they have the new sword for sale that you can buy and gives you +2 strength. Oh, sweet. Now I have that one for a while. Then you have to complete a certain thing and you find a chest in a hidden area, +7 strength, +2 electric defense. Oh, I got to put this on me for a while. I prefer that system more.
Okay.
You prefer more of the like RPG, like Final Fantasy type.
Yes.
Ooh, an iron sword +1. Well, what's the difference between your sword? This one's +1. What's that mean? I don't know. But it's one more. So anyway, there's this thing. I do feel like I miss the whole, here's the dungeon, you're going to find an item, then you have to use that item to solve the puzzle aspect. But honestly, like, I was starting to get burnt out on it. After Twilight Princess, I realized they were just starting to basically remake games they already made, and I was like, this gotta stop. I haven't played Skyward Sword yet, but I know it deviates quite heavily from the mix as well. Well, not too much, but there's a lot of reasons I want to play that game. But yeah, so like, I get why you can feel like it's not a Zelda, but like, I think we hold on to like that concept of like, no, that's not what, like, look at Final Fantasy 15. How many times do you hear people say that's not a Final Fantasy?
That is very true.
It is. It's modern day Final Fantasy, whether we like it or for better or for worse. It is.
I vote worse.
It was definitely different. That's for sure. I have mixed feelings about the new Final Fantasy 15. So
we'll talk about that one of these days. I just using it as a parallel. What the hell did you just do?
He's like, will we though?
I'll have to play it first all the way through.
Oh God.
Hey, I own it.
Yeah, I own it too, oddly enough.
I just haven't
So do
played through it.
No, me neither.
You guys are the worst. Anyway. Oh, this game sucks. I've never even finished. I've never played it. Oh, it's so awful.
Oh, I've played it enough to know it's awful.
I didn't see. That's the thing. I played it enough that I didn't hate it. I just didn't. I don't.
Like I said, we can get into it in a Final Fantasy episode one of these days, because there's plenty I have to say about that entire series.
Oh, me too, for sure.
Since someone here finally has access to the remake of 7, we'll be able to do a Final Fantasy
now
episode.
if I just play through it. Well, how about back to subject? I can't imagine I'm the only person that was getting burnt out on the formula. I love the Zelda formula, but they've been doing the same formula since the Super Nintendo. It was getting repetitive. Like, I stopped playing Twilight Princess because I thought it was a boring game. I was on the 7th temple and just stopped because I didn't even care enough to see it at the end because I was so bored.
That's one of my favorites. That's sad.
I know it's one of your favorites because it's Ocarina of Time, and you love Ocarina of Time. It's the same game, except with a lot of bad shit.
I disagree completely, because Ocarina of Time is one of my favorites, and I hate Twilight Princess.
I bet it's because it feels like it should be fun, but it's not, because there's constantly like this, oh, go collect 9,000 spirit bug things before you can progress, and it's super agitating and tedious.
It's like they took the fun, kind of cartoony aspects of Ocarina of Time and said, what if we made Link look more like a real person? And he was way more boring.
Yeah, it was the era of gritty reboots.
But you got to be a wolf.
Cool.
I hated every.
Did you?
It was it felt awful to control.
Which system did you play it on?
I've tried to play it
GameCube.
on the Wii, the GameCube, and the HD remake.
Wow, I played it on GameCube and I had no issues with it.
Personally, my favorite part, the one I had the most fun on, was the Wii version, just because I could swing the fucking controller around and chop grass. That was the highlight of the experience.
You know what? I did play it on Wii also because I remember that. And being able to aim the bow and stuff.
Yeah, but the second I like didn't have that like little fucking gimmick like entertaining me, I was like, man, this game's boring. Mind you, I played Wind Waker, then immediately the next day started Twilight Princess. So I had this clean, crisp combat from Wind Waker that feels super good. And then I played Twilight Princess and everything felt awful. All the attacks felt bad. The combat felt bad and slow and jank. It was just like they took the heart and like I looked at this wonderful, super colorful, like beautiful like world in Wind Waker that's just popping with brilliant color. And then I turned on the game the next day and it was like, who turned off all the color? Why did they... Where'd the heart and soul go in this game?
It's definitely a much, like, as far as like color palette goes, a much darker game for sure.
That's like playing 3 weeks of, 3 months of Animal Crossing and making your entire island and making it beautiful and fishing all the fish and mining all the wood and making your house. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to play Call of Duty Vanguard online for
Jesus.
Like, wow, this sucks.
I will definitely say if you played Wind Waker and then went to Twilight Princess, yeah,
I played them in order from 1 all the way through to where I stopped in Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I could definitely see where you'd have a problem with Twilight Princess.
Like, and the biggest thing was I had played Ocarina of Time just a few days prior, so it was so obvious to me that it was a copy, except they added all this shit that made it awful.
Twilight Princess was meant to be kind of like a sequel to Ocarina of Time, as if like the adult version, if he had never went back after defeating Ganon.
Well, I'm glad he went back and defeated Ganon because I never want to go any further into that links.
Have you ever looked into like the fucking
Hyrule Historia
fucked up like timeline that exists?
I know. Yeah, I can probably tell you it if you want.
It's so convoluted and you really have to like pay attention
because Zelda. Okay, here's the thing about like Zelda and Mario. It was never supposed to be like this.
It wasn't supposed to have much of a lore behind it, really.
Yeah, it was. You were supposed to just take it for what it is and enjoy the adventure. Like that was the whole concept. It was like you're like this random dude who's just like suddenly you're the silent protagonist. Which so you can project yourself. You are the hero since he never talks or anything. You're Link essentially.
Which is why you can always rename him until Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah, because they got serious with the story for the first time, which is honestly my favorite, the biggest thing that makes me love it. But you were like the silent protagonist. You weren't supposed to be like, there wasn't supposed to be like this crazy backstory that linked everything together. But there wasn't supposed to be. I'm going to edit that out. That was awful.
No, it's great.
Great is subjective.
But I love puns.
I feel worse now. Anyway. Anyway, though, but so it was like you were just supposed to enjoy this standalone adventure. Like Mario was the same way too, but the fans clamored for, well, how's this relate to this? So finally, Nintendo was like, fuck it. Let's just sit down and figure this out. So they tried to make the most sense out of it as they possibly could. Well after the fact that all these games were out. That's why it's so complicated and why Breath of the Wild is technically the first game in the timeline. Well, Skyward Sword is the first game.
I was going to say, I think Breath of the Wild is the last one.
It's on a path where, in the Wind Waker path.
Okay.
After the world. Oh, fuck, it's
so convoluted.
I haven't looked at it in a little while. And there's been a couple games added that fuck with it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter is what I'm trying to say. And like they never wanted it to matter. It was because people just kept fucking nagging for it. So they finally just like, fuck it here. But like there's numerous interviews with Shigeru Miyamoto where he even like talks about this. And he's like, he even like says it was never like intended to be like that. It wasn't supposed to be like Lord of the Rings. It was supposed to be more like Supernatural. Take each episode on its own.
That's true.
I was just gonna say, like with the renaming thing, with Breath of the Wild, they couldn't do it because it was the first game they added actual voice acting to, and for the voice actors to be like they're sitting there saying Link, you can't change the name when it's otherwise they were just never going to be able to say his name, which they could have went that route. Final Fantasy X, you could change Titus's name, and they talk to him, but they never say his name.
That's why nobody knows how it's actually pronounced.
Yeah, until they confirmed it with Kingdom Hearts by having
Titus.
Yeah,
I hate
Titus
that so much.
They got the Midas touch, the Titus touch. Anyway, we keep talking about Final Fantasy.
I mean, we're in the world.
These damn RPGs.
It's action RPGs, JRPGs, same thing.
There's somebody out there screaming right now.
Yeah, that's why I said it. Because I would be that guy out there screaming if I was on hearing somebody say that. So don't feel bad. You're not alone. I'm screaming with you.
At himself.
Internally, though.
So, out of the series, then, what is your favorite game?
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker?
Yeah, it's the most colorful and like just most fun. Like I loved sailing the boat around and stuff, and just exploring the little islands. I am in love with the graphic style and like the cartoonish aspect. I think it's really lends itself well to the series.
In Wind Waker, when you get like to that underwater like palace area, you know what I'm talking about? Does that not make you think about like Ocarina of Time at all?
What do you mean?
Like it seems very similar. Like that's the Hyrule Castle and whatnot from.
No, that is the Hyrule Castle. Like, that is supposed to be the Hyrule Castle. It's just, I guess what do you mean?
Wind Waker is one of those ones that I've never played the whole way through and beat, but I watched my brother play it, and when he was going through that part, I remember just thinking to myself, like, this felt like it was something from Ocarina of Time, like they were kind of trying to like, just be like an Easter egg kind of thing, or they were trying to tie it in.
Asking about my thoughts on the timeline thing? Is that what you're...
I'm not the timeline. It's just in general. Like, do you think like they kind of meant
Mike's
for that?
saying there's one of the most famous parts of Ocarina of Time is how uncomfortable the underwater part was, and he thinks maybe in Wind Waker they were kind of just nodding to that by throwing you down in that water.
No. He's talking about when you actually go open up the Temple of Time and go down find out the King of Red Lions is the King of Hyrule, and you find out that Tetra is Zelda and all that shit.
Yeah.
In the underground frozen Hyrule Castle. It's not that it's underwater. It's way more complicated than that.
Yeah, I simplified the shit out of that.
Yeah, because to get there, you're basically unlocking the goddess temples or whatever that opens up a portal to that realm. It's like an entire different universe. But it is implied that is the Hyrule Castle from Ocarina of Time, and that is the same Hyrule. It's just, I guess, to tie it back into what I was talking about with the timeline thing, it's not important if it's the same one or not. The Link that you see in this game and the Link you see in the other game aren't even related. It doesn't matter if they are. The whole Buddhism reincarnation thing ties in heavily to Ganon, Zelda, and Link. They will always be reborn, and they will always be the holder of those three Triforces, no matter where they hail from.
Their destinies will always be intertwined.
Yeah, and it'll always play out the exact same way. It's just Link is destined to be courageous and go through the hero's journey to save Zelda, and together they have the power to defeat Ganon, who has the Triforce of power. Like, the courage and wisdom trump power. That's like the whole what Legend of Zelda really is at the core.
I did learn one thing here today. I don't know shit about Zelda.
What?
That was all German to me.
Well, I'm glad I could teach you something. So, Corey, with that being said, let's talk about your favorite Zelda game.
Well, this is going to tell you everything you need to know. My favorite one's probably A Link to the Past.
I had a feeling that's what it was.
It had zero story to it, really.
Link, hold the A button to charge the sword.
Swipe your sword sideways. Find Zelda. End of game.
Link, I'm dying. You have to listen to my last words. Take this. Hold the B button to power your spin attack.
Pegasus boots. Now you can run.
That is one of my favorites. It's the first one I've ever played.
Like I think I said this in a previous episode, but I wore out my old copy when I was a kid. It wouldn't even play anymore. I played it so much.
Adrian didn't care.
Yeah, he didn't even want to watch you play.
He didn't really watch me play.
Adrian's dead to me.
Like
He's
literally,
dead to
he
all
was
of us right
supposed to
now.
be here tonight, and we're like, we're going to talk about Zelda, and he was like, I would rather go work overtime than talk about Zelda, and he did. He left.
Dead to me.
All right, we're probably talking a lot, and you can hear him talk about how much he hates Zelda and Baker reviews on YouTube.
My God, he even gets a plug when he's not here.
God damn it.
I had to. I couldn't help it. So, what is it about Link to the Past that makes it your favorite?
Oh, nothing specifically. It's just the one I've played the most. When I was a kid, the reason I played it so much is because it was the only Zelda I had for the SNES. I had that and like the Mario All Stars game, and a bunch of random things that I don't even remember what they are. And I mostly played the All Stars Mario and Link to the Past. I don't know. It wasn't anything specific. It was just I didn't even know about the whole adding the running and adding the sword being able to swipe and moving diagonal. I didn't know about any of that because it was the first one I played.
Oh, so it was just to you.
It was just to me. It was just the most fun I had playing one until Ocarina of Time, and then I love that one, and it's as close to a tying for first as it can possibly get without not quite edging it out.
Ocarina of Time and Link to the Past are the two big ones that most people generally like. It's the best one ever. It's the best one ever, and they hate each other for some reason. But the two groups, it's like the same game, guys. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I can't see. I'm gonna get flamed for this because I keep saying all these Zeldas are like the same game, but I love them, and I think I've demonstrated that. So come at me.
Your hatred for Twilight Princess is going to get you a lot of hatred.
No, it won't. You're going to learn a sad truth here, Mike.
I really don't think that's as controversial as you think it is, Mike.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that love Twilight Princess.
Well, Mike, that's your Facebook group, Twilight Princess fans.
Yeah, of course. Everybody on your Twilight Princess OnlyFans is going to fucking love Twilight Princess.
You can judge it based off that.
OnlyFans.
Like, you got to go talk to, like, other people sometimes, you know? Like people with good taste.
Well, Twilight Princess is not my favorite. We've already talked about Ocarina of Time being my favorite. It's the very first one I've actually played from start to finish and beat. You know, spending all the time trying to find all the golden Skulltulas. I don't know if I say that right. Did I say that right?
Idea.
I think so.
They don't ever say it out.
That's how I hear it pronounced by everybody that says it. So.
Which is, I mean, that's like a huge thing to do in that game, which of course Breath of the Wild took that a step further with the Korok seeds.
They do something like that in most games.
There's always a collectible thing where you have to get them all.
I think Ocarina of Time is when it really, because they like heart containers have always existed, heart peas and stuff. But I think gold Skulltulas were probably the first extra collectible.
I don't know if any previous game before it did anything like that.
You know, I don't know.
I think it was probably like at least in that regard, because there were other like fetching, collect this item to collect this item to collect this item, yada yada. It's always been around.
The 3D aspect of Ocarina of Time when it first came out obviously was phenomenal. It opened a door for the Zelda games to be more complex than they were. I mean, obviously with Breath of the Wild, they're super complex. And
yeah, it took that and ran with it heavy.
Fun fact about Ocarina of Time, and this probably would have potentially ruined the entire franchise that we know and love today had they gone this route. They were originally going to make Ocarina of Time just like Super Mario 64, where the entire game took place inside Ganon's castle and you were jumping in and out of paintings for the different levels because they weren't sure if they could build the world. And the only remnant of that is that one Shadow Ganon boss that jumps in and out of paintings, and that's just like that's basically just an Easter egg to what the game was originally supposed to be, that boss fight.
Yeah, I think I would have hated that.
I think everyone would have. Oh, I mean, at the time, it would have been great. At the time, it would have been fun.
I'm probably the least Zelda fan in this room. So from the outside, just enjoying games the way they are, I probably would have enjoyed that. But Ocarina of Time being my second favorite, I don't think I can picture it any other way. See what I did there? I said picture.
With that, like all being said, like games to me that make them one of my favorites always falls on a number of things. And one of the biggest things is music. Like the music in Ocarina of Time, I think, is still my favorite out of any Zelda game.
Yeah, there's certain Zelda tunes that are just iconic, and that's one you know right away.
Yeah.
They typically use a lot of the same music. They just remix it a lot. They do add new music and stuff, but there's something about the way the versions from Ocarina of Time where it really does stand out. I will agree there. The music, it was probably the peak of the music in the series.
Yeah, I mean, like in Breath of the Wild, when you're at the ranch, like the ranches, the stables, you definitely hear like a remixed version of like the Lon Lon Ranch.
Yeah, there's different themes that play at different points. There's actually like a lot of them. Almost every theme actually from Ocarina of Time appears in Breath of the Wild somewhere.
Do they redo they did a remix of Zora's Domain in Zora's Domain, right?
Like all of them, yeah. Like every song. They typically, like, the Zora's Domain song is usually the same and it carries over, but not exactly. They remix it.
The Gerudo Valley song is one of my favorites.
I'm nodding my head up and down and agreeing. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. I've played a whole 5 hours of Breath of the Wild.
The music from like Ocarina of Time, like when you're in the Zora place.
No, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know. I've never heard any of it, so I have no idea.
Oh yeah, it's sprinkled throughout Breath of the Wild. You just sometimes it's harder.
You got to really listen for it.
Yeah, and you got to be like paying attention and know where to go because some of it's hidden as like an Easter egg.
You don't want to make an Easter egg too obvious, or it's not exciting to find it.
Exactly.
The violinist Lindsey Sterling did a Zelda medley that I absolutely love, which she pulled a lot of from Ocarina of Time.
There's been a lot of bands that did some really badass covers of Zelda music.
I love metal Zelda remix. Like metal.
Oh, yeah.
There's this one YouTuber, 331E Rock, that just does metal covers of things, and he's been doing it for like 10 years now. But he's done like every Zelda song, every Chrono Trigger song, and all kinds of shit over the years. Like he does all the show, tons of shit. Check him out. I don't know. I've just watched his content for like 10 years. Everybody should check him out.
Then there's the dubstep cover of Song of Storms, which I fucking love. There's a couple of those out there.
There's all hundreds, so you'd have to be more specific.
Yeah, well, I don't think I've heard one I hated.
There are ska covers of these songs. Like that's how big this music is. Like people make ska tracks.
In case anybody listening to this doesn't know, Zelda's pretty big.
Yeah, it's kind of a big
deal.
Many leather-bound books, you know. People know him.
Onto a slightly different subject. Years ago, they made a fan trailer for a Netflix show coming out for Zelda, and it was completely fake, but it was fucking gorgeous.
It looked awesome.
I love and hate those fan trailers so much.
Me too.
They always get me so
Does it
psyched.
get you excited? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I found out they're fake, and I just want to like punch whoever made it in the throat.
Punch them and then hug them.
Hug them, then punch them.
Hug them, then punch them.
How dare you?
That actually takes me to another question I wanted to ask then. How would you feel about a live action Zelda show or movie?
That was going to be my next question.
Make it, bring it, do it.
Yeah, they better do it right.
Oh, that's my biggest fear.
It's got too many fans, too many hardcore ass fans to mess that up.
See, and here's the part. I don't think it'll ever be successful because all those hardcore fans are split so
That's true.
hard across the different games and the storylines and the lore that's accepted or not accepted. Like, there's probably no way to do it that would ever make everybody happy.
Here's what I'm going to say, and it's going to bother me and Doug. If they made a show or a movie more like Twilight Princess, I think that would work.
Oh, for sure.
As a movie or show, Twilight Princess is more the style of what people want out of that stuff. It's kind of like The Witcher show and all these other shows, like The Last of Us looks like it's going to kind of be like that. More of a gritty, real version, I think is what they'd have to do.
That's great, but why can't we just have like a fucking watch an elf boy just have a fun fucking adventure? Give it like take Lord of the Rings. Replace Frodo with Link and have a good time.
I really don't think so. It would have to be animated.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think that they would be more successful going the route of what they're doing with the new Mario movie and make it animated?
Yes.
Or would a live action be more preferred?
I think if you look, anime, cartoons, video games that are usually made into live action fail horribly. The Witcher is doing amazing and is amazing. Season 2 was epic.
That's because they're basing it off the books, not the game.
It's both. I watched 7 of the 8 new episodes in one sitting. That was 7 straight hours. So yes, I can binge things like.
What?
I know, but it's just typically awful. But when they do it animated, it's almost always like memorable and classic, and that's what people enjoy and remember.
That's what I'm saying. But if they came out and they did an amazing, fun Zelda cartoon, I think we'd all watch it and enjoy it. But if they wanted to go the grittier route where it's Link and he's not actually like an elf boy, but he wears the green, maybe even has the elf ears, that's fine. But make it more of a light Game of Thrones-ish type show, kind of like The Witcher. I think it would work a little more without all the sex. I don't think Zelda would work with a bunch of sex thrown in there.
I don't know. Have you played Breath of the Wild? He's kind of a ladies' man.
Yeah, but do you ever bend Zelda over and show her all the 50 states? No, you don't.
Well, I must have downloaded the wrong version.
Fuck, me too.
I thought that's what happened.
I thought that's what it was all about.
That's the correct version. I think if they made a grittier style Zelda where he's literally learning things along the way and learning these powers and doing these dungeons would be fucking amazing in the Witcher style show. I just think it would be great if it was more gritty.
I want 8 seasons. Each one is a dungeon.
Yeah, it'd be badass.
That would be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Like 10 episode seasons, and it's just him getting through like this crazy dungeon and fighting. And
I have one more question then involving like a live action or animated. Like, obviously the other characters get a voice. Would you want Link to talk in these movies, or in the movie or the show?
Yeah, he'd have to talk.
I know this is why everyone's like tweaking out about like Mario in this new anime movie, but like it's like they forgot that there was a fucking the Mario Super Show in the 80s ran for seasons, and he
There was
had
also a Link show.
There
where he
was a
talked.
Zelda show, yeah.
So anyway, if Nintendo won't acknowledge it, I won't either. No, I'm lying.
We are not bound by Nintendo law.
We're not bound by the laws of Nintendo.
They don't even put their games on sale. Fuck them.
Their kingdom has no power here.
Fuck their Mushroom Kingdom.
No, I love Mario.
But Hyrule can go fuck it.
Hyrule can go fucking egg.
Oh,
Suck an egg. Or just be careful, though, because the chickens in that world will fuck you up.
Exactly.
yes, they
They
will.
will. They'll all attack you together and kill your ass.
What game did that start? I don't.
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past is when that
Yup.
started.
It was so fucking insane. It caused the game to lag super hard and like run really slow. It was like you had to literally kick the fuck out of it. You had to hit it for like 2 minutes, like
Oh my
corner
god!
that bitch and beat the shit out of it. And then it was crazy until you like made a load screen happen. It just didn't end.
Well, I mean that's no like Ocarina of Time's the same way. As long as you were in that same like if you were in, I'm afraid of say these things wrong
Why?
because I feel like I say them wrong. What is it? Kakariko Village.
Yeah, everybody's gonna pronounce these things differently, dude.
When you're in there, like if you beat those chickens up until you go either into the graveyard or like up
Jump
the
in the
mountain
well or some shit.
leave,
Yeah.
they're just they will not stop.
Yeah, they're fucked up. I love that. Might be one of my favorite video game Easter eggs of all time to this day. Is the chicken crazy comic like chicken apocalypse.
I'll
that
tell you
happens.
now, I think that's still the most pathetic thing I've ever been killed by in a game.
A horde of chickens.
A horde of chickens.
I watched a video of Breath of the Wild of a guy that went out of his way to carry a chicken all the way to Death Mountain and throw it into the lava to see what would happen. And it was so anticlimactic. He literally threw it in there and it just disappeared. I was hoping for like a flock of chickens just massacred this guy.
Just a volcano full of chickens.
3 big chickens come and fly them to safety.
That would be funny. All the way back to the village you took it from.
I just can't believe like
And then every time you go back to that village, that chicken didn't forget, and you can never go back there again because they all just attack you.
Immediately.
it's just and it's on fire. It's a fire
my
chicken.
God.
It's a fire chicken, yeah.
Link's spicy chicken recipe. You
Looks
gotta
like a
throw
Super
it in
Saiyan
magnet.
chicken. And if you can happen to kill it, which is almost impossible, it makes like a meal that like gives you immunity to the cold weather forever or something. Because now you're Fire Link.
But if you don't kill it fast enough, it goes.
Oh my god.
That would be fun.
Why is it every time we start talking about video games, it come up with ridiculous shit?
Because we have good ideas.
It's the thing we think about when we're playing them. It's like, wouldn't it
Exactly.
be wild if this happened?
Sitting there with your pizza in your mouth and your Mountain Dew Code Red in your hand, and you're like, this would be great. That's just me.
Oh, is that just me? Just me, guys. Sorry.
Oopsies.
False alarm.
Mine's a Dr. Pepper, not a Mountain Dew Code Red.
Code Red's my video game liquid.
It's your gamer fuel.
Oh no, I forgot that they came out with that.
It's gone. Long gone. It was actually good. No, wait, no. Game fuel sucks. Livewire is what I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
Livewire is my favorite Mountain Dew.
I'm
Yeah.
glad it's like around forever now, not just seasonal.
It used to be a limited thing.
I was a big Pitch Black guy. I loved
I like
that shit.
Pitch Black. It was pretty good. I like grape, though.
This isn't the Mountain Dew episode.
It is now.
Yo, how do you talk about video games and not talk about
Exactly. It's like the national fuel.
We're like, if you're an aging millennial and you play video games, you drank a lot of Mountain Dew at some point. in
It's
your life.
true.
Of
Yeah.
many different flavors.
Yeah, I actually had to get a code red the other day when I was in the store because I saw one in a 1 liter bottle. I was like, I haven't seen this in a 1 liter bottle in like 10
Holy
years.
shit! I didn't even know they made them in 1 liter
He was
bottles.
like, nostalgia. I need to drink this now.
And it was like, it was good, but by the end, I was like, yeah, this is why I haven't had a Mountain Dew in 5 years.
I still
It's-
love it.
When you were
It's
starting to drink
thick.
it, did it take you back to like 2005?
It made me miss Volt.
Oh, Vault was good.
Oh, Volt was good.
Best soda ever made.
Mountain Dew gets really thick when it gets warm. You're right about that.
All right, this is like 10 minutes straight of Mountain Dew talk now.
Should we talk about sheets some more?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I got my Mountain Dew code. No, it was actually Country Fair, which...
Oh god, now we're talking about other ones.
Now, hey, would you guys like to list our top 5 favorite Pennsylvania gas stations?
Quick fill. I like quick fill.
Oh.
Quick fill, 7-Eleven. Oh, I'm dying over here. All right, so Corey, we haven't heard a whole lot from you, but I guess I guess I thought you were a bigger Zelda fan than maybe you were, or you just played a couple of them.
I'm more of a fan of the setup of the games and how the whole weapon system usually is in them. And I don't know, I guess I don't really care about the storyline all that much. I just enjoy the world of Zelda playing it. I've always been kind of like a fan of like D&D and anything fantasy like that. So the fact that Link kind of looks like a little elf and he's running around and he has powers and uses bow and sword. And I guess that's the part that I always enjoyed. I didn't really care about the story.
Okay. I mean, like I said, the story was never supposed to really be the important part. It was about the adventuring. And
so I guess I took it in the way it was supposed to be taken in.
Yeah, you're doing it right.
You didn't become one of those hardcore fans. It was like, I need more.
No, that's how I am with Mario.
Even if I have to make it up. Oh, you guys don't do fan fiction? I'm kidding. Anyway.
I read fan fiction, and some of it is out there.
Rule 34.
I don't even think he meant that.
No, but it's there.
It's always there.
Look out, Rule 34 is behind you, and it's got a gun.
Oh, Jesus.
Whatever. It may as well end the way it began, with a gun to my face.
How did it start? What?
Jesus.
But I don't like to talk about my childhood.
With a gun to my face.
That's how he came out of the womb.
Cry, damn it.
I don't want to talk about work.
I don't want to talk about work. So, sorry, with a gun to my face. I don't want to talk about work. I can't even imagine. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, that puts some things in perspective. Did you like Majora's Mask?
Yeah, I did. That was because I mainly liked that because it was very colorful and dark at the same time. And it played with a lot of purples and blacks, and those are my jam. So the fact that game was dark and bright at the same time was kind of I really liked the aesthetic of that game.
I loved how it could touch on such heavy topics for arguably what is considered a kid's game.
Yeah, it was definitely scarier than a kid's game should have been.
That's definitely one of the harder Zelda games, too.
Yeah, and Majora's Mask is the one with the big giant turtle with the face on the back of it, right?
The big moon coming down, crushing you.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
The moon with a really angry fucking face.
Yes. That was creepier than it should have been.
Oh, yeah. The closer it gets, the more terrifying it is, too. You're like,
Yeah, okay.
Jesus.
And if you take the time to do like the side quests and like listen to what these people are saying, they're basically coming to terms with the fact that they're all gonna die. So you're like just helping them like with their last days, and helping them accept their coming death. Essentially, it's like real heavy shit. Especially when the rest of the series is just an elf boy being a badass and having lighthearted adventure.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, like that magic about how it's somehow bright yet morbid at the same time.
Not to mention the happy mask salesman is definitely not happy. He looks really creepy.
He's creepy as fuck.
I think he's so happy he's transcended to a state that we can't even understand.
He's like a crazy wide-eyed I just mentioned the game earlier. Wide-eyed never mind. Well past it.
Good one, Corey.
Jesus.
It's almost like the guy from the windmill that teaches you the Song of Storms and Ocarina of Time possessed the happy mask salesman when he gets pissed.
I think it's the same character model. No, it's not. It's not. Happy Mask is more original and carries around a Mario mask, so Mario exists in the Zelda universe.
Well, yeah, in Ocarina of Time, when you look through the windows and you fire the slingshot, you can see Mario and them like on portraits on the wall.
Fair enough. You knew that. Okay. Ruining my joke.
You also get a bomb thrown at you.
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke about how Mario went to the wrong castle, but but now you just
And they
ruined
cut his
it.
face off and they're selling it to you.
They switched faces, and he tried to be Link.
John Travolta and Nicolas Cage in this game?
Oh shit! Am I talking about Face Off?
Mario was all like, I want to take his face off.
It's time for us to face off,
Oh no.
Link. And then Link is just like, that was a great line.
Good one, Link.
We're not entering scary Mario territory again, are we?
What, you think you ever left it?
He never left, Mike. He's right behind you.
Oh shit.
He's still trying to get those chili cheese dogs. He has money in a
Here
hedgehog
we
in
go
his
again.
hands. Look out. Who would Link be in that world, Corey? This was your brainchild.
In the Mario world? Oh,
In that Mario world.
In the actual Mario world where he's
Yeah.
strung out. Link is just a fantasy show he watches on TV while he's high.
All right.
That's Game of Thrones. He's watching Game of Thrones and he's imagining this little elf boy.
Oh, man.
So Zelda's not real. It's just a video game or a show he created in his own head.
It's who he wishes Peach was.
He's holding a remote while he watches Game of Thrones and he thinks he's playing it. And that's where Zelda came from.
Oh my god.
We're gonna have to come up with the entire fucking Nintendo universe in this world at some point.
I'll try to come up with characters for each one. I'll do my best, guys.
But back to Majora's Mask, one of my favorite things about that game was that you could become like different things. Like you could become a Goron, you could become a Zora,
And rock a sick electric seashell guitar.
yeah, hell yeah. And I mean, being a Dooku scrub kind of sucked.
Deku scrub.
Deku scrub, that kind of sucked. That was like the least cool one to be.
It was supposed to be.
I know, but still.
Yeah, it was still kind of cool.
It was like I like the little flying thing. I did love that every character came with its own power, you know? Like you could swim really cool as a Zora. I love the little, like being able to spin and bulldoze every fucking thing as a Goron. The game had a lot of really cool aspects to it.
I had the fierce fucking deity mask.
Yeah. And you know what? The music in Majora's Mask was pretty enjoyable. It also brought the same music aspect into it like Ocarina of Time had.
It also had the coolest feature in any Zelda ever. You could heal the signs with the song.
Oh,
and
yeah,
cut
yeah.
them
I used to get so much pleasure out of just chopping the fucking signs up. So when you could heal them and do it again, it was like it just made the child in me super happy.
You don't like to chop grass and signs in Zelda, Corey? You judging us? You think you're better than us?
No, that's one of the parts I actually like. Walking around every town and just breaking everybody's flower pots.
You're just running into people's houses and smashing everything.
They just fucking
and stealing.
stare at you like you're not doing anything.
I am so happy that in Breath of the Wild they actually like make a comment about like, what are you doing in my house? Like a couple places. Like
I want like the real life version. Like, see, okay, no, I
beat
got
the
it.
shit out of you?
Link is real. He's just a tweaker that's always busting into people's houses looking for money for.
No, he's not actually breaking any of that stuff. He's stealing it all and taking it to a pawn shop. But Mario thinks he's breaking it and getting money out of it.
why are you smashing my plants?
We just
Link's not actually making that noise when he does it. He was watching Three Ninjas in the background when he was stealing stuff from him, so he created a new sound for the creature.
yeah.
Oh, that's so much better. Yes.
And he's not an elf; he's just a meth head, so he has a sunken face
And,
So
and his hood's up a
and his
lot.
hood's
so
up all the
his
time.
ears are
He's just
covered.
always wearing a green hood.
because he's got scabs everywhere. There you go. Character created.
Character creation done. Build
I don't
it.
know. I don't know how I feel about Link being a tweaker, but hey.
I want to play this D&D campaign one day.
Zelda's actually Mario's brother who's been trying to get Link to go to rehab, but he won't go.
Oh, he's also Luigi.
He's also Luigi.
Luigi.
No, Luigi's
What?
clean.
Yeah.
And Ganon's just like some like major like corporate boss somewhere that
No, he's
Ganon
his,
runs the
he's his
rehab.
parole officer that keeps trying
He's
to
his
tell him.
parole officer. And Bowser is Mario's parole officer. That's why
These
they're
guys just won't get their lives together. We keep trying, but they won't listen.
They're actually not the villains.
We'll never give up on them.
I'm gonna kill you, Ganon. It's Officer Ganon.
Why was Majora's Mask your favorite before Wind Waker came along?
It was the most different. I think that's what it was. It was just the one that stood out. It was so different and unique, and I love heavy tragic topics. It's probably like my favorite form of entertainment, and I know that's weird, maybe it's not. I don't know.
No,
I love how much I hate a tragic ending, but I love them. But it kills me to see them. But they're my favorite. That's why like FF10 I love the most.
Anything powerful that can make you feel the feels in a video game is probably the best way to end. Or
yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah.
The ones that always hit me the hardest are the sadder ones, though.
Yeah.
Like, I love a good, happy resolution. Trust me. I would love for FF10 to end one day. One day when I'm playing FF10, I would just love for him to not fucking phase through her. Not jump off the plane. That'd be great. But that day hasn't come yet. So I'll take it.
Like some kind of DLC you can download where it ends the game different.
A happy ending.
Yeah.
Happy ending DLC. Oh, God. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
Happy ending.
I've seen that video.
Wait a minute. That's part of the Zelda game you and I downloaded, the right one, right?
That's the ending.
That's the ending. It had the happiest ending you could get. You had to really work for it too.
That video starts with, "This is my story."
And I don't know why, but I'm supposed to call the Nintendo tip line to finish.
Oh God, did you guys ever call that line back when you were?
No, did
Oh,
you?
it's so bad. Yes, a couple times it was so
Oh
bad.
man.
I didn't know it was a 900 number when I was a kid. I didn't know. I was just
Oh
calling
no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But they actually like people got paid. It took no experience, no degree, no anything. You'd be like fucking fresh out of high school, and Nintendo hired people to be these secret tip line people. But in order to do it, you had to fucking play the game. That was how you got hired. You had to play the game and demonstrate knowledge of it. Because that was the only way back then. They had no other way. There was no online walkthroughs. They called these people and asked them, how the fuck do I beat this guy?
And if you wanted to pay the money, they would walk you through the whole fucking game.
They had binders of every fucking frame of the game and shit, so they could see every page of everything.
Wow. That's impressive. I didn't know any of that.
Oh, yeah, no, it was like serious.
Anybody listening who wants to learn a little more about that, they talk about that pretty deep in the Game Over documentary on Netflix. It's a 6-part series. It's really good.
Yeah, super, super interesting. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's what
It's a beautiful documentary about video games, and it goes from like the Atari time to right around Super Nintendo and Sega, and then it kind of stops. So I'm kind of hoping there's like a 64 on coming up, hoping there's like a season 2 that goes into
when they're 30
stuff.
years old. So, 4 years from now.
Yeah.
Wow. We are aging millennials for sure. Holy shit. I
Just have to remind you guys every once in a while.
Appreciate that.
Mike, you're getting old. Anyway.
Yay.
Old AF.
Your favorite Zelda game is almost old enough to hold a local office.
It's what I do.
Oh, fuck. Oh no.
I've accepted that I'm old as fuck. I'm cool with it.
Now Mike's having his newest existential crisis, and perhaps an early midlife crisis. Maybe it's not early. Wait and find out in the next episode.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh, I could. Yeah, I know we got a little sidetracked from Zelda there. What was that?
If you guys didn't hear, that noise was.
It's
Are
kind
you
of like
sure it wasn't?
it was kind of like a but like a really high pitched
Well, we talked about that way too long.
Yeah, that'll get credit.
So this is probably more for Doug than you, Corey. You might be looking for some stuff too. What are you most looking forward to? Like, what are you hoping Breath of the Wild 2 brings to the table?
Oh man, I would absolutely love to see some co-op of some kind.
Oh god, being able to play that game with a friend would be badass.
That's what I mean. Like, you look at most of your complaints about the Breath of the Wild outside like some mechanics things like the weapon system and stuff. It's mostly just like how running around the world sometimes feels empty. And I feel like having a friend just instantly eliminates that, deletes that.
That's
and
true.
makes just, I think that one thing solves that problem without them having to just bloat it full of just like really, really generic side quests and stuff like a lot of those games do.
We are in a more co-op world with video games now, so that actually only makes sense for that to happen.
Co-op's been kind of like, the single player's really been going strong in the last couple of years.
It does seem like there's trying to kind of move back to single player, but
I miss co-op games. They seem to be fading. It's like harder and harder to find a game that actually has like a co-op mode. It's either single player or some like generic online crap.
co-op wise, would you want like the other player to be able to play as like Zelda then? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, actually, because in this game specifically, yeah, because it's supposed to be like they've already shown hints that she might be like usable in some way.
Yeah, they've kind of hidden it in the trailer that she might even be in the trailer. You just don't realize it.
Yeah, that. And if they, since Kakrika Village still stands strong in Breath of the Wild, it still has its traditions of like the Sheik was Ashika. Like those still exist. Impa is been around for a long time. This Zelda,
Old as F.
yeah, like there's no reason she couldn't have some sort of like training.
As proven by the fact that he just said old as F
Old,
and not old
rip
AF.
in peace, man. Rip in peace.
Let's go to Sheetz and get some hot dogs. Yeah, I brought it back to Sheetz. That's right.
I'm hungry as F. Let's go get some sheets.
Mario will be upset that we're getting our chili dogs before he does.
Let's go get some sweets from Sheets.
Oh my god. Some Sheetz. I hate that they put SCH in front of everything.
I need a schmisket.
Okay, quick little story. I worked at a Sheets for a period of time once upon a time, and I had a manager named Shannon who I just constantly called Schwannon. And she just fucking would yell
Hi,
at me.
Schwannon, if you're listening.
Stop calling me that!
Did she try to do that with your last name?
Nah, she just called me Ginger.
Oh, well,
Wow.
That's original. How original?
I mean, it's fitting though.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, in the world of Breath of the Wild, I didn't play it a lot, but I watched a lot of people play it. I watched a lot of gamer videos for games that I don't care if they get spoiled. I don't care if Breath of the Wild gets spoiled, so I watched a lot of playthroughs. And it's already kind of proven in this world that Zelda is kind of a badass, so she would be an easy character to add as a co-op.
Like, yeah, she literally held Ganon at bay for 100 years.
How do you guys feel that a lot of people say that there's not much story to Breath of the Wild?
I think it has the most story.
Yeah, I personally don't. Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just running around."
I feel like they haven't finished the game. I think that's the issue.
Well, because there's that whole purpose of finding all the memories and shit. Like that's your story. First off,
It's the most story-driven Zelda to date. There was like,
I would actually agree with you there.
it's also the second time that they finally made like the Link and Zelda like a love story type thing, because that started with Skyward Sword, because they never thought that the Western audience would like it. And I've always been sitting here like, that's all the fans have been asking for.
That's what I've always assumed it was anyway.
Like in Ocarina of
Exactly.
Time, I kind of felt like Sheik and Link had a thing going on. And then you find out it's Zelda, so I'm like, why the fuck aren't they a thing?
It was because they were afraid that us Westerners wouldn't appreciate the love story as much.
Fucking, we hate love. It's dead.
we are very critical on TV shows when they put two main characters together usually.
That's true. Yeah.
And they didn't want to destroy an entire like beloved franchise just because they wanted to make them like a fucking E-rated love interest. It's like, why destroy this franchise?
That's why a lot of people like, I don't know if it's a fan theory or if it's actually like true. A lot of people put Link in Talon's daughter, I don't know her name. Yeah. A lot of people think that that's who Link gets with from the Ocarina of Time
that makes
series.
No sense.
Right? I'm just saying that's a huge fan theory out there.
Why?
I don't know, because according to like the Twilight Princess thing, like they're trying to say that Link is the son or something of them, and I'm like, that makes, like I said, the whole thing's convoluted. Like, so you got these fan theories that make little to no sense, and the timeline makes little to no sense.
And that's why I don't try.
That's why I think it would be an interesting idea if they ever did a TV show, the grittier version I was talking about. If every season it was a different actor playing Link, like it was a completely different story.
Like Doctor Who?
No, Mike.
No, because
Mike, we
Doctor
want
Who-
it to be watchable.
Well, first of all, fuck off. And second off, Doctor Who, the way he does it is he can only last so long, and one version of his body, and then his body has to change. It's like a energy almost, and he has to change how he looks. I don't mean that. I just mean like a completely, almost like American Horror Story, where it's the same people, just a different story, but the other way. It's a different actor, but a similar story.
I don't know. I guess I don't know how I'd feel about that. That'd be interesting.
I just mean because there's so many versions of Link that aren't technically supposed to be the same Link.
If they went that route, I almost feel like I'd want to see them like even do like a season that's like animated to be represent like this is this Link, and really go wild with it.
God, that would throw so many people off, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But anybody who's a huge fan of the entire franchise would obviously know.
But you can't tailor anything straight to the fans of a franchise.
You can't.
Or it'll fail every time.
Yeah.
That's why, spoiler, this new Resident Evil movie is not going to hold up. They tailored specifically to the game fans, which is great as a game fan, but as a movie, it didn't make sense.
Isn't that kind of what the new Ghostbusters did, though?
No.
They kind of tailored
No.
to the fandom a lot.
Absolutely not. You'll have to see it.
I haven't seen it. Please don't.
Have you even seen it, Mike?
I haven't seen all of it. I saw it
You
up to the
still
one
didn't see
point.
the end of that movie?
Why do you watch parts of movies?
Well, no.
Well, he had to leave the theater.
Yeah, it was like emergency kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I was pretty bummed out because we were almost to the end of the movie.
Anyway,
I don't know where to go from here. I don't know anything about the movie.
We're talking about Zelda.
What were you saying before you started talking about Ghostbusters?
who the fuck is Zelda?
What's a Zelda?
What's a Zelda?
Is that like an instrument?
I feel like it's a term in electronics, but I can't pinpoint.
Oh, like 11 Zeldas of energy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Off of that joke,
Are you just going to interrupt that great bit we had going?
Whatever. Kill comedy in the water.
Mike, this is why you just, every time the opportunity comes to make a great joke, you just piss all over it.
Don't pee on 10 Zeldas of electricity, though.
You will regret it.
You will
Trust
regret
me. My friend's cousin's uncle's sister did that once, and it was a bad story.
We found an ending to it. Now you can go ahead.
And let me tell you, it was just miserable to watch. You don't want to see it.
Doug, we found the ending. Shut up. Mike, go.
a lot of people call Link Zelda. Like that's a
Yeah,
common
that's-
fucking thing that happens all the time.
Hey, that dude Samus is such a cool robot.
Yeah, like okay, so how many like that happens with Zelda? That happens with is that how did you say that? Did you say Samus?
Samus? Yeah.
Is it
Samus Aran.
Is that how it's pronounced?
I've always said Samus. I don't know.
I always said Samus too.
Does it matter at the end of the day?
You're just throwing me off.
It was 5 letters typed out into a word that doesn't exist, and we just read it. And
They call Samus a dude when clearly it's a girl.
Most people don't realize that Frankenstein isn't the monster. He's the doctor who made Frankenstein's monster.
So this Zelda Link thing is another one of those common things that happens, and it pisses so many people off.
I even used to get kind of upset by that.
I used to get mad by shit like that, but shit like that I just don't care about anymore.
I don't care anymore.
There's so much more going on for me, like for me to be doing or thinking about than like worrying about how people say a word that I don't say that way and things like that. I used to get really mad about shit like that. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know. I just stopped caring at a certain point.
I only get mad like that when people get comic book stuff really wrong around me. And if they keep going with it, my eye will start twitching and I'll have to correct them. I hate that I have to correct them, but I do.
Like this time when he tried to make this outrageous claim that Jack Nicholson was the third best Joker, and we had to argue
Absolutely
about it
is
for a
the
half hour.
third best Joker.
Yeah, right. Fourth best.
Third.
I love how one of the most passionate, heated like arguments on our show to this date is what the third best Joker was.
Not even the first or second. The third best Joker.
It's beautiful, really.
Oh, Joaquin Phoenix, the fourth best Joker. What were you saying, Mike?
Whoa!
Joaquin
what?
Phoenix, the third best Joker.
The fourth
Yeah,
best
continue,
Joker?
Mike.
What were you saying, Mike?
I'm there with you. I think everybody now who says it mostly knows, and they're just trying to fucking piss people off, so it doesn't phase me like it used to. But like,
Yeah, I think it's really cool that 343 Industries made this awesome badass female protagonist named Master Chief. Really did a lot of good things.
You're talking about Samus again.
oh okay.
Aren't they the same character? I thought
Pretty
Samus
much.
stood for super armor. Master something. I don't know.
Master Ultimate.
Samus.
And then the loop just starts over again. And
That's
then,
like the movie.
if you keep going, it becomes a circle, kind of like Samus's ball when she turns into a ball and rolls.
Oh.
Illuminati confirmed. Okay.
That's kind of like E.T. the extraterrestrial is.
Nobody can see it.
E.T. is short for extraterrestrial, so it kind of fucking.
Yeah, the whole title of that movie is Extraterrestrial and His Adventures on Earth.
Oh,
That's the actual whole title to that movie.
So in America, they just shorten it to E.T. the extraterrestrial.
It's not even, people don't even say extraterrestrial. They just say E.T. Like, we don't even say the whole fucking, we don't even say half the title.
Lazy fucks.
We're lazy as hell. Guys going to see E.T.? What the hell's that?
E.T. Don't you have to get a test if you think you have that?
Yeah, it's super invasive too.
Oh, Mike, that was a depressing
Yeah.
It's because it's super invasive.
It is. They go all the way up there.
But Breath of the Wild 2, that's my biggest thing. I want to see co-op. I want to see a little more to do in the world, and I want to see them make like climbing mountains shit a little more lenient on the stamina. If they're gonna maintain the stamina thing, they gotta let you get around a little more, I think.
Oh, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I get the point of it, and I understand why they did it, but a little more. Give me a little more leeway so I want to see what's up there. Let me get up there.
And if you're gonna go with that, you're gonna go that route. I would like to think that they don't have to change the weapon system if they want to keep that. Obviously, I feel like they're gonna do that going forward.
I'd like to see it changed. I'd like to see a sword,
or
maybe give me a hammer, a sword, and an axe, but don't make them break.
Or at least make them last way longer than they do, because like some of them you're fucking just swinging them, and after like 5 hits, it's like, oh, this thing's gonna break soon. You're like, what the fuck? I just got this.
I know some of the best, like I'd pick up a sword that is like super master awesome sword, and it's like it has 2 hits. Like,
giant lightning fucking claymore of death, 1 hit.
I feel like their algorithms or whatever they use for that, they kind of fucked up.
Oh no, they individually planned out how fast everything decayed. That was all thought of and balanced around.
They botched it.
They wanted the cool shit to break fast. Yeah.
As Adrian would say, sucks.
Like
sucks.
From the design perspective, you don't want to make the strongest things last forever because then it trivializes things. But from the consumer side, where you just want to have fun and swing the really powerful thing that trivializes all the hard shit, you want it to not break, They got to find that fine line.
I will say, at least they didn't fuck up the Master Sword to the point where, like, if you used it wrong, they didn't make it break and you had to fucking go back and, like, fix it or something. Like the big Goron sword.
No. Fun fact. There was this still is in the game, and you have to in order to cause it to happen, you have to do like everything perfect. You have to do something specifically because this was definitely not intended to be left in the game, but it was found recently. Originally, we know now that the Master Sword, once it was out of power, it was supposed to literally leave your inventory, fly up in the sky, and return to its spot in the woods, and you had to go recollect it. And there's a way to trigger that to still occur, and the text still pops up and everything because they coded it out. They just they didn't get rid of all of the assets.
They just hid it in the background.
Yeah, and like they thought that they got rid of basically the boxes you have to check in order to cause it to happen, but there's a way to glitch to cause it to happen. So they did know that would have been a bad idea. So these things were all thought of.
Were they trying to piss me off even more than they already did?
They were just starting with like all weapons break. How can we make this one break in a cool way that the Master Sword would? And then they realized, wouldn't it be more fun if they just didn't have to come all the way back here to pick it up? Yeah, you're right.
They've already had to deal with breaking weapons this whole game. Can we please give them something?
Can we cut them some type of break?
Maybe it powers down for a little bit if you overuse it, because the whole game balance would be thrown totally away if you never had to like pick up another weapon or care about that again. Like they had to incorporate that somehow. It did last a lot longer than a standard weapon.
And they'd already had like some type of design in the game similar to that to be able to just incorporate that into the sword. Like, the powers you get for like Memphis Grace and shit like that. Like once you use it, it has a time limit before you can use it again. So I'm sure it wasn't hard for them to be like, oh yeah, well, we'll just incorporate that to the Master Sword.
Yeah, like same principle. It wouldn't be too bad to do. But yeah, those are what I want to see changed. What about you?
Like I said, the weapon system mostly. I personally would love if they just got rid of it in general and just gave you the Master Sword and the shield and shit. But I agree with Corey. Like, yeah, give you a hammer too. And
Doug said that.
Oh shit, my bad, Doug.
He never likes to give me credit for anything. He's always trying to say we did this or Corey did this, or it's like, bro, just let me have my credit.
I agree with you, Doug. Yeah, like give me the sword, give me the hammer. Don't give me this shit that breaks all the time. Like it's monotonous.
It is. It's tedious. It's monotonous.
It's probably why I stopped playing it when I did and haven't picked it back up yet.
To me, like at first the weapon thing was weird, but once like you said, once you like stopped and tried to play with it, it wasn't nearly as bad. It also made you like you didn't have just like 100 arrows on you all the time. You had to be really considerate with how you were using them. Take the time to shoot, go for the headshots. To not Corey.
That's bullshit.
It's funny that you said you don't have like 100 arrows on you. I would legitimately, after every time I did something major, would go to every fucking place I knew that sold arrows and just fucking buy them. So I had like 60 to 80 arrows.
Corey just wanted to kill everything with arrows.
I did. It's true. I like arrows and bows and arrows in games.
They did have some cool bows in that game, though. Like,
yeah, they do.
Real badass.
And of course, they fucking broke too. Which, you know what? I will give them this. At least that kind of makes sense.
All right. Shield surfing.
Oh yeah, that was kind of fun though.
Yeah, it was sick.
Until it broke your fucking shield.
Or like when you got that power to like temporarily freeze put stasis on something like a boulder, and then you kick the shit out of it and climb on it and go flying across the map on it and shit like that. Like there's so many just fun, neat things that you could do like that.
I agree for sure on that one. Yeah.
I feel like people forget about those like fun aspects when you're riding a barrel and flying like down a hill and shit. Like,
but the sand seals, those were pretty fun.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I kind of forget about the desert part of that game a little bit.
Dude, the desert part of that game is fucking hard. Like there's certain parts of it that are really hard.
Yeah,
I think
we're excluding Corey.
So hard.
Music and things I haven't played.
I think I would like to see them bring back the shrines, because I did enjoy that.
That was
fun.
The game. I like the puzzle aspect of that game.
Yeah, that's like the most Zelda thing I think that Breath of the Wild had in it, was the puzzle aspect of the shrines.
Very true.
I liked how there were a bunch of them too, and like, you didn't have to do them all if you didn't want to, but you got a good reward for doing it.
Yeah, I love that some were easy, and then there were others that were so complex, like you really had to fucking think about it.
Yeah, like to me, that honestly, I preferred that system to the old dungeon system, because
the first couple I did were so fucking easy. I was like, really? Is it going to be this goddamn easy every time?
And then you're like, oh, there's 100 and fucking million of these, and they get real hard.
I think there's like 127.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's got to be an even number, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to have all the spirit orbs to get more hearts and shit.
You can't have max health and max stamina. It's impossible.
What I did, I smartly thought, oh, I'm going to do max stamina and then just get however many hearts I need, because that would make the most sense.
I mean, that's how I do it.
Because at some point, the stamina maxes out way early, and like the hearts, you can just keep going forever, it seems.
I'd just rather have more stamina than more health. Climb that mountain, damn it.
As realistic as it is, I fucking hated that you couldn't climb up a mountain when it was raining.
That they had all kinds of special outfits, right? That had all these like cool things, like you're better at this, you're better at that. Give me one, if you're gonna keep that fucking rain system, give me one that lets me climb in the rain.
Yeah.
Like ninja claws or something.
And give me some more ways to deal with the cold, because holy shit, that got tedious at times.
That was annoying as fuck.
Corey, I'm sure you probably hadn't gotten to that point, but there's a part in the map where it does not stop raining the entire time. Like it just raining the whole time. You can't fucking climb up the mountain that you're trying to climb up, because you're like, well, fuck me.
Yeah, you have to do it really specifically. That was a complaint. That's actually an area that was complained about a bit. I think that was the biggest complaint of the game, was actually the climbing in general. Just between that and the rain, it just became really hard at times. What'd you guys think about like the crazy dragons and shit that were flying around?
Oh, I thought those were awesome.
It was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, you can kill them too. It was...
I never tried that.
Well, one of the shrine quests requires you to... Is it the shrine? One of the shrine quests requires you to get like the goo or whatever off the one of the dragons?
I think so. It's been a while. I haven't played the game for a couple of years now, because it's shocking how fast times fly, but it's already like a 4-5-year-old game.
It's a very old game now.
I'm not very old. Slow down. Slow your roll.
In video game standards, like 5 years is kind of old.
You're old. Okay.
Well, it's true.
As true as that is.
That's true. That is. You're still old, and Zelda Breath of the Wild isn't. Anyway. I'm kidding.
It's only 4 years old.
Well, then it's not old.
Okay, it's only 4. I want to ask about one more Zelda game, and it's not Zelda 1, but it's less loved.
Oh no.
Loved brother. Zelda 2,
Oh no.
The Adventures of Link. What do you guys think about that game? Have you ever played it? Have you ever beat it?
I've actually played a little bit of it since they released those emulators
Okay.
on Switch.
Okay.
That's one of the harder Zeldas too, right?
It's generally considered one of the hardest games on the Super Nintendo. Like, it's in top 10 hardest games on Super Nintendo lists often.
Which explains why it's one of the most hated.
No, there's a lot of reasons why it's most hated. I beat it a few years ago, and my God, there is an enemy that I won't even explain. Okay, I will explain it because do you know how, like, the big armored knights in, like, Wind Waker and shit, they're, like, called, like, Iron Dukes or some shit?
Like you're fighting them and eventually the armor falls off and they can become faster? Okay, yeah.
And there's always, like, those big armored enemies in Zelda games. Well, they've been around since the first Zelda. And in Zelda 2, there was a lot of side-scrolling platforming parts of the game. That's what it mostly was. Now, they had a shield system. Your shield would block, and you would have to, like, crouch to block low and be standing to block high, like projectiles and stuff, and attacks. But enemies could also block, so you had to fight around their shield and shit. And this was old AI, so it was almost perfect. It just, like, there were, like, special jump swing things that you had to do to trick its shield and shit. But there was a version of it later in the game that stabbed you with the sword, changed its guard, and threw throwing daggers nonstop simultaneously that swapped behind high and low while stabbing at you. And you had to crouch to block the low dagger, crouch to block the low stab, be standing to block the high dagger, be standing to block the high stab, and do all this while trying to land, like, shots on its head. And you had to hit it like 8 to 12 times to kill it, and it was so hard to hit it even once. And that was just an enemy.
Fuck that noise.
It's said to be as hard as, like, a modern era Dark Souls game. Like, there's a certain strategy to beating the monsters in it.
Yeah, that's a great parallel to draw, actually. Every monster you had to fight a specific way.
Yeah.
But the Iron Duke's fucking not.
I don't know. I don't remember that boss specifically, so maybe I never got that far in the game. But
this was like this wasn't even a boss. This was just an enemy.
Oh, okay.
Not even a boss.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, this is just the enemy in, like, the final temple. It's ridiculous.
So the people that invented or created Link's Adventure, or as Zelda 2, were basically like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Shigeru Miyamoto has been asked what his biggest regret in his whole career is, and to this day, he will say Zelda 2. He doesn't believe in remaking his games, but if he could go back and redo one game, that would be it, he says.
Wait, so if he doesn't believe in remaking his games, how comes he let the one get remade?
The Skyward Sword?
Link's Awakening.
He doesn't, like, sit there and, like, push. He's always working on the new things. He doesn't care if they want to, like, remake them and shit. Like,
I think he means him specifically.
Yeah, he doesn't have interest in doing remakes or rebooting a game.
I am glad that Link's Awakening, when they remade it, they didn't remake it fully. They just gave it, like, upgraded graphics, if you will, and added a couple things to it. They still kept it like a side-scroll kind of platform type game.
They upgraded it pretty significantly, but yeah, like, they tried to stay true, and, like, that's the fine line. It's like when you're doing something like that, you're either remaking it, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, or you're rebooting it, or you're remastering it. Remaster is bullshit, just makes it look fancier, nothing changes. You're paying more money for something you've owned for 20 years.
As we saw with the Grand Theft Auto Definitive Edition, that doesn't always work.
But sometimes, as you'll see with the Final Fantasy Pixel Perfect remasters, it does.
They could remaster Chrono Trigger over and over, and I'll spend money every time.
You know what the kids call you? A jive sucker. Anyway.
I don't think that's what the kids say anymore, Doug.
Shit, am I old? Okay. But yeah, Zelda 2 is, I don't know. I thought it was a cool game. I don't think it deserves the hate it gets. That's the point I was going to get to. I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted some opinions, and I wanted the world to know that they're wrong about Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. If you don't like Zelda 2, stop listening to this podcast.
I disagree.
Please don't do that, because it's like the majority of everyone.
I don't know why Corey just flipped me off, but here we are.
I think the reason that it gets so much hate is because it's so hard. I really think that that's pretty much the biggest complaint.
It's just like this random asking. It's so different. It was too
Talk
different.
about not feeling like a we
Anyway, we don't really got to go into Zelda 2. Everybody who cares about Zelda 2 knows has their stance and it will never be swayed.
Part of it getting so much hate is probably because it was released in the era where we had to figure everything out on our own. There was no internet. There was no phones to look this shit up. There was barely even a number, I think, to call when that one was out. I don't even know if that existed
I was about to
yet.
say, what about the Nintendo tip line?
There weren't really strategy guides.
I owned that game as a kid. I didn't fucking get anywhere as a kid. I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing.
Exactly. And I think back then you could make games hard, but you had to make it at least so we could figure it the fuck out. And they didn't.
I had to come back as a 28-year-old man with the internet and a walkthrough to beat that game.
Yeah, you can't do that and it be successful.
So what about some of the lesser known Zelda games? Like, did you ever play any for the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance?
I've played Seasons, Ages, Minish Cap, Link's Awakening.
I played Link's Awakening. That was the one. I was trying to think of which one I played.
I played every handheld Zelda up to the Game Boy Advance.
How did you feel? Like, did you like what they did with the Oracles?
I love them. I loved it. I loved that whole.
I
love that fact. After you beat the game, you could copy your code from your game and load it in the other one to fight a secret special boss that required both games to be. But it would carry your character over. The special animal companion thing that you get. People remember you. Unlocks all kinds of extra content. And then if you beat that one, because then if you beat that one, you get a third code to start the Hero's Quest, which is actually the true ending of the game, where you beat a boss that requires you having beaten both games with a single file code. It was so cool for the time.
That is why I think out of all Zelda games, even though Ocarina of Time is my favorite, I think story-wise, I love the Oracle games the most. I know, like, in that moment, story wasn't really a big thing with Zelda games, but like I thought that they kind of tied a lot of things together really well between the two.
Do you know why there's so much different feeling from like the console ones?
I don't actually.
Because Nintendo let Capcom make them.
Oh shit! Really?
They made Seasons, Ages, and Minish Cap.
Like I said, I loved how. And you're right. It felt a lot different while still feeling like a Zelda game.
Oh yeah, they had to like stick to some standards, but there was more emphasis on some of the characters and stuff, and they tried some really cool things. I personally love the handheld Zeldas. They were some of my favorite games for the. I prefer the handheld Zeldas to like Link to the Past, for example. I think they were just an improved Link to the Past style.
I spent countless of hours playing those ones.
Yeah, we had these coasters when I was a kid that had like a cork setting. I was trying to solve a puzzle where I had to open a series of like 8 chests in order, and I had no paper, so I literally carved the layout into this coaster and checked into them to solve a puzzle. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't draw on, so I just pressed the pen and I was like, oh. So we had a coaster that just had like these boxes on it with numbers. I'm
really disappointed. I got to thinking about all these Zelda games and it dawned on me that the Virtual Boy never had one.
Virtual Boy was out for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was like 2 years.
And it killed 3,000 people in that time period. So. And fuck, I think the Virtual Boy is still killing people that use it to this day.
Probably.
I attribute my eyesight to the Virtual Boy.
Doug's the only one that doesn't have to wear
3
glasses.
3 of us use a Virtual Boy and 3 of us wear glasses. I'll let you do the math.
I still see red and black in my dreams.
I see a red door and I want to paint it black. Anyway. I ruined that. I'm sorry. I'll edit that out.
But if you paint the red door black, there would only be black. Because that's all the Virtual Boy had.
It'd be like you turned the power off.
Yeah. And why are you still looking in it if the power's off?
Because it's 4 a.m. and I've lost control of my life.
No, it's 3 a.m. and I must be lonely.
There it is.
Okay, Rob Thomas. Oh, man. All right. Anything else? Any last thoughts just about Zelda you guys want to drop?
I like Zelda.
Zelda is a really cool adventure. Whoever the fuck Link is, though, I'd really like to learn.
I do have one last question, because we kind of brought it up before we started recording. Who is the most annoying character?
Tingle.
For sure.
Hi. Nah, he's the best character in the game.
Tingle.
Tingle, Kaloon Limpa, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you just proved it.
It is a toss-up for me between Tingle and that fucking owl in Ocarina of Time.
Really, the owl, not the hey, listen.
Navi is hands down the most obnoxious thing in the entirety of Legend of Zelda.
She can keep talking, but you can keep moving. The owl, he stops you and you gotta fucking pound A.
How can you stand just listening? I'm gonna change your whole life. You can hold down the B button to fast skip text in Ocarina of Time.
What?
Okay.
What?
Anyway, moving on.
Son of a bitch. Maybe that owl won't be annoying anymore.
No, he still will. Because the real reason he's annoying is because you're just mashing through it mindlessly, and when he asks you at the end, do you want to repeat that? It defaults to yes, not
You
no.
accidentally hit it again. Yeah.
And I don't know how many fucking times I've done that. And I'm like, all right, listen here, you fucker.
And that is why I will admit that the owl is probably the second most annoying character.
At least his music's kind of cool.
The blinding rage of hearing him say his lines 4 or 5 times in a row because I don't stop mashing.
Kills the music for you.
Yeah.
Nah, his music's not even that great.
Yeah, it's pretty plain. Anyway, you guys really hate Tingle that much.
I can't stand him.
Can't believe he got his own fucking game.
Twice.
Oh my god.
He had which one are you talking about?
I don't even know. I didn't play it.
There was one for the Game Boy Advance that actually linked up to Wind Waker, so through the cool Game Boy Advance system thing, and it let Tingle like send you messages in a bottle and shit, and like
Jesus Christ.
I will throw one more out there. That fucking dude that runs through the field in Ocarina of Time. It's always like fucking trash talking you.
Talking shit on the postman?
No, the guy that's running through the field all the time. Is that the postman?
The postman. The mailman.
He's always like, he's such an asshole.
He's got places to be and letters to deliver.
And at nighttime, he asks you to race him, and he's a dick about it.
Oh, wait. In Ocarina of Time?
Yeah.
Who do you race at night in the...
I can't remember his name, but he's a major ass.
Are you talking about the goat? Like the ghost of Dampy in the graveyard?
No, hold on.
He's out in the open field outside the castle walls.
Just running around?
I don't remember his name.
He's just called the Running Man.
He's just called the Running Man.
He resembles the classic depiction of a Greek Olympian. He's a specialist runner. He's a dick.
He's a dick.
I have literally zero memory of this character. I'll have to look it up after. I'm blank. I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about right now?
It's almost impossible to beat him. You can beat him in a race.
I think I did, actually.
Yeah, every time you fail, he's such a dick about it. He's basically like, get good.
If you can do the fucking chocobo racing thing in Final Fantasy X to get Tidus's fucking ultimate weapon, you can do anything.
Tidus.
Don't make me come over there. Don't get me started.
Full disclaimer, I don't think his name's actually Tidus.
I mean, it is, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Cut that, Doug.
Cut that. I think his name is actually Tidus. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've doomed yourself. All right. I think we're good to wrap this up, so Corey can get 4 hours of sleep.
Looking forward to it.
He is dedicated to culture shock, folks. That was Corey. He has nothing to plug.
Not yet.
He runs the Twitter. Check us out on Twitter.
He does run our social media.
Please don't blame me for that.
Anyway, I think that just about does it. That's going to bring everything to an end. If you find yourself here, consider subscribing. Check out our new show that we post every week. We try to post every week. We will post every week someday, I swear. But to those of you listening, new and old, thanks for listening.